And we are back. It is episode 27 of the Lyrical Ones podcast. I am your host, Sineo. I am thankful to be here, grateful to be here, especially after last week and the ability to eat what I was able to eat. Alfluent, how are you doing this week?
I'm great.
Trying to get it down. This mirror mode is like I don't even know.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
he
yeah.
out of? Is he?
So if you listen to the audio, we was I was trying to give Cindy a high five, but
I was trying to use my head to catch the high five, and it just didn't work.
he was trying to catch the high five with his head, but that didn't work either. So welcome to episode 27. It's Lyrical Ones podcast. We are happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. Thanksgiving was the other day, and some people got stuff to be thankful for. Some people not sure what they're thankful for. And some folks are just mad at a holiday about killing people.
Yeah.
We got a whole bunch of those in this country. So you any day and every day is another day to be grateful and thankful for the people you got around you, for the people you had around you, for the people that you loved and the people that loved you. And it is Wednesday, December 2nd. We are in the final arc of 2020. We got mysterious monoliths showing up. We got fireballs in Japan, meteors in Japan. It's we got good times. We got Pfizer got approved for the vaccine out in the UK. So UK is the first one to okay a vaccine for the coronavirus, novel coronavirus, COVID-19. Um, One of my people asked me, one of the people posted a question. Shout out to Gark Mavigan. He asked one time on Twitter, uh, when you dream now, do you dream with people wearing masks? I haven't yet, but that's because I'm usually dreaming of future events. And so I think in the future we won't be wearing masks, not as much. But Sin might be wearing a mask still, and that's all
Yes.
right.
I mean, it's that's
Here's
that's
the
such
answer.
a good thing to say. Like, do you dream with people with masks on? And it's like, when I think about the dreams I've had, no, not yet. I mean, it'd be nice because then I could get a little space between who's in my dreams and who's not. But it's one of those things where I was actually speaking to somebody in my other line of work, because they were saying how like it doesn't even feel like it's the same year. It feels like this has been going on longer than that. And I was just telling them like the monotony of your routine can become an echo chamber, right? Where it's like you place two mirrors in front of each other and it looks like infinity. It looks like it goes on forever, right? Just having those two mirrors in front of each other. And imagine today and yesterday, they're like two mirrors, right? It's like if they look so much similar, then next thing you know, it just looks like this long hallway, this long process that doesn't end. And so, I'm now working with them to find ways to disrupt the monotony, right? To find new routines, new disciplines, new practices. So that way they're not getting lost and stuck, right? They're getting more creative around how do they disrupt it, right? In a sustainable way. But it's trippy hearing that, like, do you dream and see people with masks on? And it's like, I've seen so many little kids and babies, and usually, baby sees you online and starts staring you down, and you can make all kinds of happy faces and you know interact. And now it's like they just staring at you in your eyes, like they just in your eyes. You can't do like you could try and play peekaboo and like get out the way, but it takes so much more to do it, right? And then like your level of expression is so much more animated just to compensate for the fact that they can't see your face, right? It's like imagine how many babies is going around seeing people and just never grasping who that person is, what they like, the joy that the baby may have brought them, right? Like so many times people see a baby immediately they light up. But now you just see eyes and eyebrows, and it's like no smiles, nothing, no other form of expression. Like the most universal thing we got, the most universal form of communication that is exceeds all language barriers is the ability to just show your face. And so, yeah, it's we are living in a new era. We're living in a new time, and it is something now where I am hyper grateful, thankful, and it's not just because of Thanksgiving. It's because every day there's a opportunity to find something to be appreciative of, and when the world starts to strip away kind of what you have access to, I mean, how you look at it gonna make the difference, right? And that's, I mean,
True.
a lot of what it seems like we're gonna be saying today is literally how you look at it, right? Whether it's you having a plan, it's about how you looking at the plan and how do you approach that plan, or it's the situation that we're currently in and sharing, where it's like, yeah, Thanksgiving means so much to so many, both positive and negative. And to me, yeah, it was a moment to, kind of rest, to reflect, and also rejoice in the fact that I can spend this time with someone that I can enjoy the ability to eat some food, right? Like I can cook it, I can serve it, and I could be at peace with what I made, and at the same time think about the world that I'm in. But that's something that extends both before this holiday and after this holiday. And so, if the government gonna give me some time off, well, I'm gonna take that time off. And so, that's kind of how I spent it. I mean, how about you? What was it like for you? How was the feeding?
The feeding was great for me because I got to do what I enjoy to do, which is work, which is to have that exchange with my community. Um, have me Give me opportunity to really appreciate the folks that have supported me and had my back during the pandemic when they didn't have to, and that they would share, their holiday with me, their holiday morning with me, their time off work with me was special, and that they would ask me to, you know, help them find the limits their of their mental, physical connection, and fry some central nervous systems. I really appreciate me uh, me having the opportunity to just give in that way, and focus on things that are important. I think people have come across those things more often than usual this year, um, as in a general population sense. And the feeding is always great, but got to connect with family I hadn't seen in a while, and usually they would be arriving in town and be around for the next week or so, and you know we're creating new traditions, and then those just traditions that we had now are adjusting, and the tradition that that remains true is that we're intentional about seeing each other, and throughout the year we're intentional about checking in with each other. And I got family in SoCal and Burbank who listen to the show, so I appreciate my family that's listening. Um, Shout out to, oh yeah, I do got my Capital Gains hoodie on. Shout out to Capital Gains clothing line, Capital Gains Co. Um, and they watch the show, so it's they're supporters of the Lyrical Ones podcast. So that was big because I didn't know that before the holiday. Um, and it's always great to just tap in with your people who've been rocking with you, um, because life can get in the way, um, and it's great to just be still, in various ways, especially when it comes to looking toward the future. It takes taking a little bit of introspective, taking into account what the creator, what God, what the universe is telling you, um, where your energy is and where you want your energy to go. And, just like with any exercise, it's about intention. So, my intention, throughout this month, the rest of this year, uh, is to stay focused on giving, but also, I guess, the balance of, I need time to be still and to take in, what's happened, the themes that are in my life that are reoccurring, and whatever pain I'm feeling that's germane to my life, but also like what pain or trauma am I adopting as an empath from others, and am I taking steps to process that and then release it and not internalize it all, so that I can move forward and hone in on the trajectory of my life and my purpose for the upcoming year.
No, that's I mean that's beautiful. That's what this is all about. Is that at the end of the day is like, you know, getting in tune with what it is your purpose is, getting in tune with yourself and who you are, and a lot of what I've been saying this past week to people is you gotta love you. You gotta figure out what that looks like and what that pouring back into yourself means, right? Like people, we all think about the to dos and all the things that we have to do, and what are we responsible for. But again, first and foremost, you got to look at self and take a personal inventory of what it is you need for you. And it's like it's a practice that for me, I'm learning how to develop. I'm learning how to refine and get down to a the better version of me every day, right? Better than I was yesterday, right? Like we see in so many different ways kind of the world that we're in and how everything is modified, everything is different. And in that, it's like, okay, how am I a better version of myself in the midst of all this? It could be perceived as chaos, it could be conceived as confusion, or, it could be seen as some form of destruction or harm. But again, if I have the ability to do, what is it that I am doing and how can I maneuver through it, right? If I have the ability to just see the day, then what am I going to do with that that's in front of me? Because it is a thing where there are people who are going to come across misfortune, right? There are going to be people who are going to come across situations where there are going to be extreme hardships. And I hate to say this, but they always say save for a rainy day. No one ever told you to save for a rainy year, right? And that's a new reality. That's a new scope of life that we have to take into account, is that our securities aren't all that secure, right? The things that we thought were guaranteed to us or were functioning, well, depending on what's going on in the world, those things can cease to exist, right? And especially right now, hearing in the news how much people are at their limit, how much people aren't able to provide or do. This is a time where, you know, at some point, those that can, maybe you should do something. Maybe you should reach out. Maybe you should find out, figure out how could you be of support to those who can't, who don't have, right? And then on the other end of the spectrum is, how do you become resilient when you're up against these odds, when you're up against the measure of what society says you're supposed to do or supposed to have, right? Oh, you're supposed to be able to pay your bills. You're supposed to be able to, have a job. But at the end of the day, right now society's dictating something totally different, against that grain. And it's like, yeah, we on one end, yeah, us all together have to hold our leaders accountable and challenge them to be like, look, we're gonna need some changes, right? There are some changes you can make, right? You hear it all the time. When is the military ever gonna need a bake sale, right? When it comes to what we need as people, when it comes to housing and priorities around healthcare, there's a lot of conversation around where the money goes, right? You don't never have to worry about who's gonna get bailed out unless it's us, right? When it comes to us, we come last, but let it be some big financial institution that needs a bailout. They gonna get that. They gonna get that. So there's multiple things we can do. There's multiple ways that either we respect the differences, again, those who have, those who don't, or coming together on unified issues that we agree on and saying, okay, this is how we're going to hold our leaders accountable to get that change we're looking for. And that all stems from self, that stems from having that balance, that sustainability, having the people to check in, right? To have those folks who you care about, and you might not know they listening to your show, or you may not know that, that your words mean so much more to them just when they have access to them, right? Maybe they don't get to hear you often, but when they do, you're able to feed them what they need, that nourishment to keep them going through a time like this. So, it is as much as it is thanks and gratefulness that we stepping away from as a maybe a national community, a culture that we American culture that we all somewhat play a part in. It's also about how do you maintain that throughout the year, right? And like how do you re-engage and recheck yourself? And so, like, hearing you say all that, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to tell the people I work with or the people that I serve, how do I stay grounded, and how do I build that community around me? How do I create those boundaries that I need within my community to be able to be a part of my community, right? To be like consistent in my community. And sometimes that's letting your family members know, yeah, I ain't around, right? And sometimes it's letting your family members know, hey, I'm here for you, right? But it's knowing how to engage in both. It's not just one way. Too often it's like, we family, I'm gonna do this, or you're my friend, I'm gonna do that. Instead of addressing, maybe there's a boundary that needs to be established and we need to learn how to respect it or work within it. And then letting that be the means for sustainability for yourself, right? Again, pour back into you, love into you, take care of you. And it is about, having those good conversations, having those moments to break bread. And so, before we got on, Affluent was saying a lot around planning, right? And, I think it's a good conversation to have around understanding, right, the humility, the patience, what are the skills necessary when either you're developing a plan or you're receiving a plan, and how that looks. So, Affluent break, give them a little something, something.
It's interesting because like it's not easy to dream of new things, especially during the pandemic, especially during hard times. Sometimes the dream only goes as far as, right, the pain to stop, the discomfort to stop, right, for comfort, to feel safer. And to dream anything past that um, takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of energy. Uh, when you can get to that space of dreaming past your situation, I think that's when we get closer to our ability to create, right? Create something out of nothing. And uh, a dream with a plan, right, is a goal. And to get to that goal, right, that plan is going to need some execution, but that's going to come from consistency, right? That consistency is going to come from support. That support is going to come from some place of commitment, right? It's like, okay, I want to build a lemonade stand, but if my lemonade stand don't look welcoming, nobody's going to support me. So I have to commit to creating a lemonade stand that actually sells lemonade. Right? With that support, then I can have a reoccurring schedule to serve this lemonade. And with that consistency, I can build a discipline, right? That's routine. I can maybe hire some people to help out or ask some people to help out. With the support that I have, I can keep the lemonade stand going. And from that discipline, right, I can build, right, this goal. I can move toward this goal. And now I don't have necessarily have to say what the goal is, but I know that I've taken some steps to achieve something. So a lot of times we want to start with the goal, you know, because somewhere in there is the vision or the dream. And I think it takes some humility to say, oh well, I don't have, right, the know-how, right? I don't have the skill set, I don't have the experience to start a lemonade stand, right? But if I take that space of commitment and some humility, then I can say, well, I can learn, right? Or I can ask for help, and right, and that asking for help may be the evidence, that someone else needs to show that I'm committed, right? And so it's the saying of, God helps those who help themselves. Um, Somebody that I respect and who's a mentor to me at times says, try your best and let God do the rest. Um, and a lot of times it's acknowledging your own limits to know that you've tried your best. Um, but then sometimes it's exhausting those limits and saying, okay, I can go past this, I can do more. And then you can call it an attempt when you've pushed, to failure. Then you've taken a try at it. If you stop before you fail, then it's not necessarily a real attempt. And I think that happens in interactions and relationships. I think that happens um, with job interviews. I think it happens uh, with dreams and goals, that people, you know, do the hard work before they ever make a plan and don't see anything come out of the hard work because they never set a goal. And then I've seen people who do the hard work without a plan, thinking they know what they're doing, or thinking they have the goal in mind, and have just lost time because they didn't take the time to plan. And then some people, right, are very intuitive and they get to moving fast and they say, I got it, and they're real quick with their movements and they're real quick with their losses. And I was reading tonight in my men's group. I was reading from Proverbs 21:5, uh, where the New Living Translation says, "Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, um, and haste leads to poverty." Um, and it's like, if you move fast, you lose fast. And and it's funny because when you talk about a vaccine that then got turned around, in a year, um, we'll see what happens. Um, yeah, we'll see what happens. Just think everybody, can listen and look between the lines, and always follow the drip. You know, look at the money, who's funding articles, who's funding studies, who's funding clinical trials. Um, that'll always tell you a lot about people's agendas. Um, and sometimes it's hidden, sometimes it's insidious. Um, but keep your hygiene up, keep your nutrition up. It's certain ways to navigate, regardless of what the powers that be are doing. Um, that'll that allow you to protect yourself. And part of that is listening to God and listen to you know the themes in your life, and where those themes are still resonating in your life, because I don't think they disappear. Um, like our greatest struggles are often our greatest triumphs. So the things that take a long time to learn are the things that will be the places that we find purpose. As we overcome them. Um, so if we wait to speak on those things or approach those things or share those struggles, um, because we haven't overcome them yet, we may not get the help or resources and support that we need, um, because we haven't shown that we're committed and that they are important to us. Sometimes we struggle by ourselves, struggle in the dark, and uh, and help can be in the seat across from us.
Yeah, and bringing that up, some of y'all I know y'all like to struggle. Some of y'all like to not ask for help. Y'all like to just sit in it, let it marinate, right? Let the flavors
Sometimes
simmer, right? Some of y'all like to just act like it ain't no pain, right? It's just you gonna make it work, right? Put a smile on, keep, brace the wave, brace the impact, and it's you
oh
get
yeah,
accustomed.
just take the class. Just take the class. Even just
I
take the
mean,
workout class.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Why push yourself, right? Why go to your limits, right? Why test the boundaries, figure out your capacity? Um, I've been guilty of it. I know I've delved into it. I've done it. I've been that way, right? And I'm trying not to, right? It's this space, right? It's being creative. It's connecting with people. It's realizing that no one is an island, right? It is acknowledging the world and what's going on around you and how crazy it is, right? When you really think about it, it's insane, right? Because I mean,
That's it.
when when you read between the lines, right? It's easy to laugh at, right? But at the same time, sometimes it can make you weep. It can make you cry. It could hurt you, right? Because your ability to interpret it where you sit in the world is going to change how you view it, your perspective, your angle, right? Something that looks one way going to look a different way, right? A, a tiger coming straight at you and you just see its head ain't going to look the same as when you see its body, right? And so it's one of those things where you got to be, you don't have to be. Let me excuse myself. You don't have to be. Nah, not at all. You don't. You could though. You could, and you could see what happens, right? I'm not here to dictate. I'm here as the experiences that have manifested to put me in this position to say something, right? I was I was asked to do and then I chose to do, right? That was my response, right? Someone said, "Hey, could you?" And I said, "Yeah, I could." Right? It wasn't I need you to. I mean, even if they said they need me to, I still got to choose to do, right? And so I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just saying the possibilities and what there is available to you through these conversations, through these words, because it is like I'm all about healing, I'm all about repairing, I'm all about restoring. And we're in a time and a space right now where you got to be super critical, right? Don't be critical for the sake of like destruction. Be critical for the sake of understanding and having comprehension, right? To like really process what's happening in front of you and try and formulate different perspectives and viewpoints on the same thing so you could get multiple angles, you could see multiple dimensions of it. Because right now, we are in a pandemic, right? We are in a situation where we're trying to address historical oppression, systematic oppression, racism, power, class, socioeconomic status. There's so many layers to this cake, and you got to make sure that you're peeping what's in every layer. And you don't have to, right? You could choose not to, and that's okay. I've been in those positions. I'm like, forget all that. I know where my money going today. I'm just gonna ball out and get something that's consumable that it's gonna benefit me in a moment, but in the long run, it ain't gonna hold no weight, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There ain't nothing wrong with that. But for me, in trying to get out of this and break these cycles and stop the harm that I've seen, I realize I got to be a little bit more patient, right? I got to plan and I got to work hard and I got to be
That's good.
patient through the process, right?
It's nice.
Because yeah, you if you're trying to work fast, you can lose fast, right? You're doing too much. If you especially like, slow is steady, steady's fast. But if we just jump to fast and we forget that we need to be slow to be steady, like it's like working out. Oh, I'm just gonna pick up this heavy weight. I ain't gonna warm up. I ain't gonna take the slow approach and just, get the blood flowing. I'm just gonna I pull the muscle. Well, I strain myself. Yeah, well, I'm gonna be out for a while, right? I'm just gonna go for the heavy stuff first. I ain't worked out in a while, right? It may not, you know, Metaphors might not correlate to you, right? But think about it like this, right? Everything is connected, right? Whether it's the joints and the bones in your bodies and the tendons, your brain, right? Your brain is an operation of that, right? I take your brain out, the body sits there, does nothing, right? Whether it's voluntary, involuntary, starts here, right? And then everything else has to be taken care of from this point forward, right? Starts in this core. So in this moment in time, more than ever, connect. More than ever, be mindful of your needs. Be mindful of what it is. Don't be afraid to ask. And if people shame you for asking, if people are like not able to have an honest conversation and a dialogue to get past that, right? That sense of like, what are you even talking about? Like, what you mean you need to talk to me for what? If they can't get past that and they can't see through it and understand how that's harmful, there's more people out there. There's more out there, right? And really seek it and look for it because it is a thing right now. I'm just seeing people just, I just need somebody to believe what I believe so I can feel justified in my actions, right? It ain't about that. It ain't like it could be for you, but it's more of an isolation than you realize, right? I just got people to agree with my stance and they believe what I believe. So now, because of that, I'm justified, right? Before, you might just be all by yourself and have to realize maybe what I'm thinking isn't healthy, right? Maybe what I'm thinking ain't sustainable. Maybe what I'm thinking ain't gonna help me. And so it is a thing right now where it's like, we sit here after Thanksgiving, people upset, angry, they're like, y'all done slaughtered and killed people. Y'all done murdered and y'all done genocide and that's true. That's real. That is true. But we have a responsibility on what we decide to do today and trying to address that harm and how do we restore, how do we repair, and how do we hold those accountable, right? Because it's people who, are justified in their pain and their grief, but we are all community, we are all citizens, we are all part of this. We have to support those going through that pain, right? We have to be there for those, right? And then for those going through pain, we got to be able to heal ourselves in that process if we can. If not, we got to be able to reach out and connect with people because at the end of the day, right, the message gonna be the message. But if I do it with honey versus with vinegar, well, I mean, you could figure it out. How many people just
Yeah,
swigging vinegar? Told, let me throw this vinegar in the tea. Let me just, gotta put this vinegar in that. Everything, just everything. I'm gonna get this vinegar glazed ham. Mm, so good.
you you're right though. It's like it's got to happen with community. Like we gotta see that other people need help as much as we know we need. We need assistance in ourselves. Um, we're creatures that don't happen upon this earth, by themselves. And we can do a lot better if we do it together. And I think you don't always have to like. It's interesting. Like you don't always have to like overcome your weaknesses by your own work. You can overcome your weaknesses by having somebody who has different strengths than you. Um, I think that's what the team game is, and just because you found someone who's strong where you're not as strong, you could still be someone else's strength. Within community, you can still be a resource to other people. Um, and so I really like that she said that you know that the pain is something that we gotta check in on people and see how folks are doing.
I mean, it's so real, man. Like, come on. Where else you gonna get a guy with a mask on named Sin with gold teeth, and then you gonna have a guy named Alfluent who gonna start saying Bible quotes, right? Like, I'm not Christian, right? I'm not the one, right? But Alfluent over here, he gonna speak that game. He gonna give you that truth, give you that light, and he gonna come from a different place than what I'm gonna come from, right? We on the same path, same journey together. The means of how we
Definitely.
travel may look a little different, but in our heart, where are we headed, right? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to
Ultra white
accomplish,
beam.
right? And so it's like me, yeah, maybe I'm not gonna get here and say no Bible quotes, right? Maybe I'm not gonna go brush up, but I'm gonna receive something from it, even if it ain't necessarily my cup of tea, right? I might just need to take a sip from what they drinking to see what is it, and then what am I receiving? What message am I getting? Right? What's going? There's some healing property, right? Like it's not necessarily being trapped into any one thing as much as you are open to the world that is around you. Because yes, it's about community, right? I'm a community member, right? And I have a responsibility to Alfluent. Alfluent has a responsibility to me. And in that, right, there's an exchange of ideas, thoughts, beliefs, words, right? And I'm able to build from that, right? I'm not gonna just because I'm not, I'm gonna shut it out. Nah. If anything, I've seen Alfluent what he's done over time. I have to trust there's something to what he's giving me that is going to empower me because I see it's empowered him, right? And that's the thing that I want people to really be keen on is that for me to be in the stance that I'm in, to be in the position that I'm in, it's on purpose, right? There's a purpose in the practice, right? We come here week after week, and I want people to know that this is a space for people to come into to be able to be themselves, right? It ain't about you being judged. It ain't about any one of us pointing a finger and be like, right? It's about, oh man, you know what? I appreciate that. How can I have access so I can help myself? Or you know what? Thank you for that reminder, right? Because that helps me re-engage in something that I already had, right? Like as much as
Right.
Alfluent said it before, it's like teaching, right? It's not sometimes about like talking at someone, right? It's about how are they receiving the information, and then how are they bringing out the knowledge from within themselves, right? And I've had so many conversations this past week where I'm like, oh yeah, I remember I used to do that, or that's actually something I've held on to, but because I have been out of practice or I haven't had the chance to exercise that muscle, right? It's not until this conversation where I discover or rediscover that's actually true. I've
Right.
been away from it, right?
Yeah.
And so,
And we're on the
it's
journey. We're both on the journey of empowerment, right? But we're doing it alongside each other, right? And you're on you're on your way to like empowering yourself, right? Even just through remembering what you already know.
and people forget more than they remember, right? We all got memory lapse to some degree, right? This echo chamber of everyday monotony, it can do that to you, right? And so then it's like, okay, what does the disruption look like in a positive way, right? And so here we are, the Lyrical Ones podcast, episode 27, right? And we've done this 27 times, and it's a thing where we're refining our own practice. You go back to episode 1, you tell me what it looked like, okay? You go and see what it was, right? You think about how the vocal sounded and what we were saying and how we said it, right? To now, here we are, it's December 2nd, 2020, and within this period of time we've been able to grow in a manner that was slow and steady, and now steady is looking real fast, right? We're able to move in a way where it looks more refined, right? And just go look back at episode 1. You can see the difference, right? Just on visuals alone. You could go listen on the difference, right? And so here we are now at this point in this time where it is a thing where, you know, you're going to get tired, you're going to get worn down. How do you recuperate? How do you mindful of that recovery process? How do you think about that in the scope of how do you restore? How do you rebuild? And how do you plan for that? Affluent, how do you plan around your rest and recovery? What does that look like on a practical level? Like, what is your 7 day or day to day?
I so it starts with acknowledgement and acceptance of what I'm going to be depleted of. Like, what am I giving to the day? It starts there because if I don't know what I'm giving, how am I going to know what to put back? Um, and so when I go from gonna go from when I start from that place, when I look at my day and say it's gonna take spirit energy, it's gonna take physical energy, it's gonna take mental energy, it's gonna take emotional energy, right? It's gonna take me being compassionate, uh, me being a listener, me being a teacher and a guide and a follower, right? Then I also need to then look at examples of those things. Um, and so reading is a form of rest for me. Um, like playing video games is a form of rest for me. Actual sleep is a form of rest for me. Um, and it's taking the things that I have on and giving them a break at certain points without being empty or void of those things. Like before I get to zero, I've learned that I need to stop and rest before I have nothing left. I used to pride myself on having nothing left at the end of the day. And it's really not the best way to interact with people after the day is done. Um, it's it's kind of set up for a life of isolation, um, because that energy that I'm using for my day is, then taking away from giving to my loved ones, because a lot of my day is giving to a career, and then I'm just trying to find um, what's left. And sometimes those interactions are just on fumes, or the grace of God, really. Um, but that example came from when I first got into um, the wellness, where I was working a handful of jobs, and it was really, I was giving 8 hours to someone else's dream and using what was ever left for what I enjoyed. And I just thought that was backwards. Um, that was it. It was just, I just thought it was, um, right now, if you're listening to the audio only, Cineo's giving me the body sway of approval. Um, he's giving me, you already know what I'm talking about. Um, and yeah, it was really backwards, where I was giving so much. I was giving 8 hours of my day, and then I was giving what I was passionate about, what I cared about, leftovers. And now that I'm doing what I'm passionate about, I also have to be compassionate and not show up with leftovers. Um, and the only way, like, to do that is to say, is to create boundaries and not give everything, right? Not get everything to work just because I believe in it. Um, it doesn't justify me giving everything to it. Um, just because I believe in it and I'm passionate about it doesn't mean that I deplete myself to where I'm just a slime. Uh, I can't be formless. Um, even if I'm OP, I can't. I still can't be just, you know just mush at the end of the day. And so those the 7 day rest starts with intention, and just a full knowledge of what my week is gonna ask of me. It's like I know that in the week, at the end of my workday, I have 2 to 3 more video calls in the week. So once work is done, then I'm still interacting, um, and I'm part of groups. I'm part of people. There's tribes that I'm a part of, where I can where I contribute, but we're also where I'm in a space of receiving and learning. And so I need to still be available and on for those. And then when I'm interacting with my loved ones on a regular basis, during the workday and outside of the workday, that I create space and time and energy for them. And then, also planning the rest sometimes in the middle of the day. A mental rest is in the middle of the day is important, uh, where it's not planning, where it's not being on schedule, where it's uh, not in fix it mode, where it's not on, but it's again taking a break from being on, so that I don't overheat, so that don't go over my limits, and I think allotting time to go over my limits, allotting time to or allocating time to push myself is important, and not using time that's not allocated for that. Yeah, just this. It's just the use of time and having intention. Sometimes it's written in the schedule, and other times I'm fully aware of the schedule, mentally, to where I'm tuned into the routine, and it's like I know what's happening right after this broadcast is done. I know what my rest looks like because I know what my timetable is to recover for my next activity. What about you? What's your rest looking like?
So, funny you say that.
Because I know you be in those creation hours.
The creation hours for me, right? I was the one, right? I come from the side of the coin where we were watching the cave at night, right? We was watching the cave at night, right? We was making sure no creepy crawlies came. We was making sure nobody was trying to come raid. Yo, 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 right on Figo. We try our best, you know what I'm saying? We out here where we're at. We're just having a
Shout,
conversation, right? And right
shout
now
out to
on
Figo
rest,
Navarro though.
hopefully you get some peace from this rest, right? That we talking about. But I am a child of the night, right? I am a person that like comes alive at night. And the thing is for me in this period of time, like, it's weird. It's such a like when you think back to when you had a refined process of what rest looks like, it was like I had a way where it made sense. And right now, what I mean is like back then it was like, okay, these are the things that I'm going to do. I'm going to read, right? I'm going to play some video games. I'm going to do these things because they bring me peace or they bring me some sense of solace or healing. And then you're in a whole new era, right? Where it's like you realize that your wants and your needs are greater than the moment you're in. And you're trying to refine your humility and your patience within this moment, right? Because in the past, it was like, I got to where I needed to be at that point, right? I got to where I needed to be for that moment, right? So me at 20 working towards 25, I worked to get to that point, and then I got there, and then I'm like, yeah, I got this. Then things happen. The world starts to crumble around you on a personal level, and then you're like, I ain't got this. It's time to grow beyond this moment, right? Now here I am, all these years later, where I'm 33, and I'm like, okay, I gotta grow again beyond this moment, right? Where I'm like, I want for my future. I want for my kids who ain't even here, right? I ain't even got kids. I'm planning for their kids. I ain't got kids. I'm planning for them, their kids. I'm planning for my grandbabies. I ain't even got kids. Like, come on now, okay? People be like, you tripping. I'm like, no, this is me. This is who I am, right? I gotta plan ahead. I gotta see ahead. I gotta think about it. And so rest. Well, when you thinking about all that and you creating and you trying to hustle and you trying to get all these things together, right? Like I'm formulating, getting things in place ever since May, ever since George Floyd. I've been like, I I took a 10-year plan, and I keep saying this quote from Elon Musk: take a 10-year plan and condense it to 6 months. And so that's all I've done. I've taken every ounce of what I was supposed to do and just try to condense it down because I've been in practice for so long with certain skills, certain abilities that I don't even have to think about engaging those, right? I need to think about how to learn these things I don't know, right? How to understand, right? And there is a part where it's patience, right? Because there's been many times where, like, yeah, I know just a couple minutes ago, I'm like, I ain't Christian, blah, blah, blah. But I tell you, I'll be crying to God, and I'll be like, God, just give me, right? God, just give me a sign, give me a moment. Can you just show me something, please? I just want to know, right? And it's one of those things where, you know, look, I know everybody gonna have their own way of feeling and thinking about it. I'm gonna keep it 100. God gonna deliver, right? When you ask, you better be prepared for what you gonna get. Because the thing is, a lot of times people be looking for a sign, but they're looking for a specific sign. And you can't look for a specific sign sometimes. Sometimes you gotta take what's just there, right? And you gotta be receptive to receiving it, right? Because it's just as much, right? It's that back to it's you chosen as much as you choose to be, right? If if like this happened, right? If I'm like, God, just let me know that I'm on the right path, right? So I'm doing my routine, I'm doing what I need to do, and I'm like, I know I need to buy these things, but I'm like, oh man, the money is tight. I gotta be careful. And in that process, you find $100. And you're like, wait, what? Hold on. I was on the right path. I was just doing the routine. I stuck to the routine. I stuck to the discipline. And on my path, I literally found $100, which then self-convince everything else. And then you have someone hit you and be like, yeah, I want to buy this off you. And then it's like, wait a minute, hold on. Wait, what? What I needed had funded itself. But what I've been doing this whole time, I've been working on the path, going down the path, right? And I'm asking God, look, am I on the right path? Right? Next thing you know, these things happen. Boom, I'm taken care of. Right. Then it's, God, I just want to know, like, just can I get a sign right now? It's tough. Someone hits you and like, hey, bro, I've been meaning to work with you. What can we do? Now I could easily be like, nah, this ain't the sign I'm looking for. I ain't finna work with you. Or I could be receptive and be like, you know what? What can I do to get down? Right. And so my mind right now is so fixed on work that rest, right? I'm having to compromise. And when you said, right, you got to know what you got to give, right? I'm doing a lot of that. Like, okay, what's tomorrow look like? So that way I know when can I get those pockets because I'm on hustle mode. I'm gonna be 100 with it. I'm not thinking about sleep all the time. I'm thinking about what is it that I can do, right? Because again, you hear so often like you're gonna have to give up them sleep. You're gonna have some sleepless nights. So you're gonna have to plan around what needs to be done and then what needs to be done to fuel you to drive you, right? And so maybe it's getting them naps in between. Maybe it's portioning your sleep and realizing what is your absolute limit, right? For me, it's like I know I need 7 to 8 hours to sleep. I know I need that. I know I can function off 6, and I know I'm pushing it with 5, right? So I know that, right? If I get 4, I am screwed. I am, I am not, you know, I ain't functioning. I'm done. But if I get 5 and I get a nap that's a little longer than usual somewhere in the day, okay, I can take care of what my responsibilities are that I have like societal agreements, right? My job, I have a job, right? Like Alfluent just said, I'm giving 8 hours to someone else's dream. I'm doing the same thing right now. I am giving a good 8. I'm supposed to be giving 7, but I'm giving a good 8 hours to someone else's dream, right? And I'm realizing, okay, I need to create the foundation to start working towards my dream. So I'm working on my stuff, right? Because it is a thing where it's like we don't realize and pay attention to that. So that means I might have to sacrifice a couple nights to be like, okay, my imbalance it might be I get 7 here, I get 6 here, I get 5 here, I get 7 here, I get 8 here, and got to maybe take some naps. 20-minute nap on this day, hour nap on that day, right? Because at the end of the day, it's sustainable, it's sustainability. And so I got to be mindful, right, of my rest because there's things that are anchored, right? Anchored every day. I'm going to need to watch some One Piece. I'm going to have to. I'm going to need to see Luffy overcome obstacles and barriers to give me that fuel, right, to calm me down and bring me down. It was reading, right? There's some things I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to work out at least 4 times a week. I'm gonna have to at least work out 4 times a week, right? So if I'm giving 8 hours to someone else, and then I also gotta cook, prep, and do all that, I gotta eat healthy. I gotta make sure the fuel, right? It's as clean as I possibly can make it, so I don't feel weighed down, right? So I'm gonna make sure them chicken breasts are seasoned just right. I'm gonna make sure that my vegetables are steamed properly so they maintain their fiber, right? But they've been just covered in steam, but still got their fiber. And then I'm gonna make sure that my breakfast and my snacks or my lunch is filled with nutrients that are gonna sustain me, right? I don't need too much. I don't need to feel full. I need to feel fulfilled, right? I need to feel sustenance, right? Big difference. These are things that I learned over time because all of them intersect in my rest. They all intersect in my recovery, my repair. If my knee is tripping, I need to change up my exercise. Maybe I need to put some Tiger Balm on it. Maybe I need to wrap it up. Maybe I need to ease up off of it. Maybe I need to go look up physical therapy routines and re-engage in my body in a different capacity because maybe I'm not paying attention to certain muscle groups. Rest, recovery, repair, right? So yeah, maybe I'm not getting the most in terms of my sleep, but I am making the most of all the other variables that go into me being repaired and me being able to restore myself, right? Because my mind is like hustle, grind, grind, hustle, grind, 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 hustle, right? So I'm on go, right? I'm thinking of all the things I can do. When you commit yourself to recording 30 songs in a month and a half period of time, you know, you just you're gonna have to make that time work. And so sometimes that means making that sacrifice, but knowing yourself enough, I have fundamentally gotten to know myself enough to know what I need, to know how much I need it, and then make sure that it's sustainable. Okay. So rest, okay, sleep, I know we all need it. And I'm gonna get to that point. But sometimes you got to be willing to put in them 16-hour days before you say, I'm working a 14, 12-hour day just for me, right? I got to split this time between the societal obligations I said I'm going to do, which is, I'm at service to my community. But again, I'm telling myself as much as I'm just saying it, between me and Alfluent is like, man, I'm gonna be a part of my community every day. This is another way right here, right? I'm a part of my community every day. No one can tell me, no one can give me a title, no organization can determine how much I'm a part of my community, right? I was a part of it before they got here. I'm gonna be here, right? When they lose funding or when they decide to move on to what has the next need, guess what? I'm still gonna be here, right? So it ain't about them. It's about how do I sustain this for myself. So I'm not depending on them to do the job. I'm doing the job because I'm depending on myself. So yeah, that's what rest looks like, man. Not a lot of sleep, but eat healthy, right? Right. Find those pockets to find peace and space for joy, right? I have quality time with my partner. We make sure that we are able to reflect and appreciate each other's company and, just process, digest, right? And then I got my community. I got my people around me who are healing, right? I got my people who I can check in and ground me. I got my people where we can have those conversations, and then reveal, discover, and feel like, okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate you and then keep it moving. So, rest comes in a multitude of ways. I'm trying to get to that sleep one though. Man, I love sleep. So, that's rest right now.
So, right. So I'll say this about sleep. There's no substitute for it, right? Food can't replace sleep. Sleep can't replace food, right? So needing both as someone who knows, like if your energy is up, that's great. Um, and a lot of times I'm not sleeping because I necessarily am tired. Um, I'm sleeping because my body's designed to. Because I'm very much a early bird, night owl person. Um, and I can run circles around people in 4 hours of sleep. Um, but that's not the life I want to live. Um, yeah, it's just not. It's just I've already done that, and it's just not the best way to go. And and so that's so for me, it's like how do I move toward like best? Um, and is right best right now is different from best, in 5 months, right? Best in 5 months is different from best in 2 years because my best 5 years ago is like it's got nothing on my best right now. Um, and I think that's that's all I want to be is I can if I can measure that and say my best right now is light years ahead of my best a year ago, 2 years ago, then I'm all right. I can accept that and I can move forward from there. You know, light years at a time is pretty fast.
No, that's real. And I mean, it reminds me of you got to set boundaries with yourself, right? Like put the phone down. Like at
Damn
this
straight.
time, I'm put the phone down, right? At this time, I shouldn't watch YouTube at this time, right? Because YouTube for me is a vortex of a bunch of different things, right? It's like, oh, the new MacBook came out, and oh, they just reviewed this video game, and oh, did you know that this movie's coming out? Oh, well, did you know that you could eat this and you could heal that and you could do this? And I'm like, oh goodness, the
Right.
rabbit hole.
So what I did was I flipped it to get to sleep first, and then I wake up early and go to my vortex. That's what I did. I switched it up because if the sleep is ready, if the sleep is on the plate, then I'm gonna serve myself to sleep. And the thing I'm not in control of is when I wake up. Um, and so that's what I'm most grateful for. Um, there's nothing I love more than waking up. It's the biggest compliment to me. It's the most flattering thing that could happen to me is me waking up each day.
You right.
And as much as our bodies shut down, I'm so grateful to wake up. And my thing is, if I go back to sleep, I don't know why throw like I don't know if I'm supposed to wake up. It's like why throw away the whole day to go back to sleep when I've already woken up? Let me just let me just run the table with this that that's ready for me. Um, and if I feel like I need more sleep, then I have to do some adjusting to get to sleep earlier so that whenever I wake up, right, I'm ready to do damage because that's what I'm not in. I got no choice in whether I wake up or not. I got no choice in the matter. I can choose how many times I go to sleep, but that's only according to how many times I wake up. And so any day you see me, it's the best day of my life, you know, because it's the only one I got. And um, I think that's my announcement. Today is the best day of my life.
Yeah, before I go on my racist rant announcement about how time is a racist construct, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go
I do
into
love that.
the Lyrical Ones episode 27 announcements for this upcoming weekend and this week, just in general. Okay. So, what I want everyone to be aware of is you can join the Lyrical Assembly Reads for Resistant book that happens every Saturday at 9 a.m. This week we are on chapter 3 of the book, Decolonizing Evangelism, right? If you are interested, please get in contact with Lacey, Lacy at lyricalopposition.org, right? So again, right, that's Saturday at 9 a.m., right? They're on chapter 3. It's the book called Decolonizing Evangelism, right? You'll be reading for resistance. So then, getting into the next part of our announcements, right? You can get connected to the Lyrical Opposition community through the Discord community server. You can text Lyrical Opposition at area code 415-903-7699. Again, that's 415-903-7699. It's at the bottom of the screen that for those that can see and for those that can't, again, 415-903-7699. If you want to get connected, you can use that number to be a part of the Discord community server. And then on Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have the Lyrical Assembly broadcast. It is every week, every Sunday. You can tune in if you are interested in content about faith, arts, and activism. Again, if faith, arts, and activism are your thing, You can get involved Sundays, 10 a.m., when I'm probably asleep. But for you, you're probably awake. So join the Lyrical Assembly broadcast every Sunday and get in tune, And back to what I was saying about time, right? Because you're talking about time, sleep time. And I'm like, man, look, time is a racist construct that was given to us. Let me butcher this Final Fantasy Tactics quote that I keep seeing everywhere because it's popular and everybody's on it, and I'm gonna say it. If the penalty to a fine, I mean, if the penalty to a crime, let me see, already jumbled up. If the
Is a
penalty
fine.
to a crime is a fine, then that means it was created for the lower class, right? It was created for those in poverty, right? Because where you may receive a parking ticket, someone else is paying for parking, right? Understand the difference, right? You, it's a fine. This is a ticket. For someone else, I'm just paying for parking. This is my right to pay. I paid the right to be here, right? This is it. I'm cool,
60
right?
bucks for this
That's
spot?
nothing. For this
This is
vibe,
worth it for me.
yeah, right. Whereas for me, I'm stressing. I just missed out on lunch for a week. I done, had to reportion. Maybe I went into some funds I wasn't trying to go into, right? Like this is a situation, right? And I go into the whole racist time as a construct because it's like, at what point did you realize your time ain't your time? At what point did you realize, right? When you go to school every day, that was it. They determine when you start, they determine when you finish. You didn't get to have any input, no conversation, right? I know so many youth, me included, have been put in such unfair, disadvantaged like positions because when does school start, right? Oh, you ain't coming to school. Oh, you must not want. So you just want to. Okay, I see what. Oh, all right. And it's like, okay, this conversation, this is a tone you gonna talk to me is almost. I've committed a crime. Like, what harm have I committed to you? Oh, I'm no longer a part of the status quo. Okay, that's harmful to you. That's not harmful to me because I have a need that's not being fulfilled within the structure of time that you're giving me, right? And there's so many people who don't fall in line with that time structure, right? So again, at what point did you realize it wasn't for you? Now, for me, it was when I was in high school, and yes, I went to Thurgood Marshall, the Thurgood Marshall way. And the thing is, there was a period of time when a lot of it was reliable on me to get to school, and I had to commute, right? My community and my life existed in San Francisco. The house that I lived in was in Contra Costa County, which required a BART ride, right? So if I'm up watching
It's
Toonami
one bar
Midnight
ride.
Run, yeah, one BART ride, one bus, right? Get off at Glen Park, hop on the 44 O'Shaughnessy. That is the Muni.
Boom.
That's what happens. They say it on the bus. But the thing is, if you are on time, you get there in the morning, right? I used to get there
Wait, what
early.
you
So
say
I
about
could,
Toonami? Was you watching? Was you watching
I was watching
Toonami?
Toonami Midnight Run. You know what I'm saying? I was watching Toonami Midnight Run. Had to get caught up on the Dragon Ball Z or get caught up on what the anime was popping or whatever show. Maybe it was Family Guy and I was just bored. But I'm sitting there going to sleep late, got to wake up really early. And after a while, that is an unsustainable practice, right? For me, my nature is the nighttime, right? So I come alive no matter what happens. I'm like, this is me. This is where I live. And then I have
We,
to fight that and wake up
you know
early
what
to
we
go to
gonna
school.
do? We gonna start elementary school. We gonna start night school for elementary students.
I mean, I'm just saying, man, come on. Like
we,
when
that's what
when
we
I
need.
was
We need
watching
night
when I was
school
look,
for
let's take
K
it
through
back.
12.
When Raw's War was going off the air, it was what? Was it
Oh,
11 or 10? I think it was
that's
11,
that's
right?
yeah, I think that's 11.
Because WCW Nitro ended at 10, and then you got an hour of WWF. Well, at the time, WWF, now WWE.
Yeah,
You got to watch Raw's War. And the thing is, how can I go to sleep when I just seen Stone Cold Steve Austin just stunner like 20 people in the ring? Or I seen The Rock give the most electrifying performance in all sports entertainment. How at 11 o'clock at night am I supposed to just sit in bed and just be like, yep, I'm cool? I'm sitting there jumping on my bed, ready to take the pillow and be like, the rock bottom. Oh, don't let my cousin be over. It's the people's elbow. Oh, it's a DDT, right? 11 o'clock at night, right? I'm hyped. I'm energized. I'm activated, right? So I'm not even thinking about tom tomorrow at school. We gonna have a wrestling match that's gonna be mimicking what we saw on the screen. I ain't tripping off no test. I ain't tripping off no assignment. I'm thinking about how I'm finna be champion of my school because I got the title to win tomorrow because I just seen Stone Cold win the title, so I gotta win the title, right? So to me, that to me that was the priority, right? That was the designation, right? I didn't have strict parents that was like, oh no, it's off, you going to sleep, right? Mama got to work graveyard. That's where I get it from. And then, my dad would get off work, working a long day. Maybe it was around 10 or 11. He's just now decompressing, trying to get acclimated to being at home. So I'm like, I'm wired. I'm ready to go. Let's do this. It's nothing. Oh my God, off the top ropes, right? Just jumping on the bed, right? And so to me, I'm looking at time like, this is my nature, okay? You gonna tell me what to do, right? And I'm fighting against the grain. I had to find other ways, alternative ways to excel and propel myself into positions that mattered for me, right? And so now it's like, yeah, when I ended up going to college, like when I had college classes, they all happened at nighttime. And I was an impeccable, incredible, immaculate student. I got A's, B's, it was nothing. But when you told me that geometry is gonna be the first period of the day, that was gonna be the worst class, because that class I'm just gonna take a nap. And then the second period class, I'm gonna take a nap. And the third period, I come alive, and we end this thing. I'm in it, right? But when I'm now kind of leading the class or leading the topics of discussion, or I'm able to help lead the study group, my class is at nighttime. Well, night school for kids. What we gonna do? Elementary school, night school. All right. Cause it's if we gonna really think about how this world is set up, we have to think about how accommodating it is for everyone, right? Universal design is us being mindful of having a ramp for people having wheelchair access, right? But we don't have conversations around people who just have a certain way in nature about them, right? So many times I've heard kids end up at alternative schools as a form of penalty, not as a choice, not as a true alternative, right? They call it continuation school, but a lot of times it's just an alternative, right? Continuation of what? Continuation to the same systemic oppression that you've been perpetuating on these young kids for so long? Look, I got issues with that, right? You've created a negative stigma for an opportunity for them to learn, to have real like prosperity within themselves for information and growth and development, right? Like, oh, you gonna come to school late, so I guess you want to end up at XYZ school. That's what you want to do, huh? Oh, you one of them. Oh, what school you go to? Oh, you go to that school. Now, knowing that that school might be fundamental to them changing their life and being able to access parts of themselves they just couldn't access elsewhere, right? And even then, sometimes you might run into some roadblocks where the people there still stuck in the same method and ways of like, well, we gotta somehow be like these other schools. And it's like, you're not really like those other schools. And I think that's the beauty in it. You don't have to be, right? And so yeah, night school for kids, I'm with it. I'm willing to, if LeBron can open up a school, I'm on my way. I am on my way, right? We gonna have I'm gonna maybe rent out ER Taylor from the hours of like 5 to like 11. We just gonna
Ugh.
second
Some
shift.
security.
Yep. What we gonna do? We gonna get some searchlights, have it popping. Woo! Oh yeah. We out here in the yard.
Security.
Flashlight
Janitor.
tag. Yep.
Counselors come through.
It's a whole nother school, right? Talk about the magic school bus. This is the magic school bus at night. Ghost ride the
Yes.
whip with my
Right.
sunshades on.
Speaking of ghost riding, the Attack on Titan season 4
Here we
starts
go.
next week.
Here we go.
Go talking about ghosts of a civilization.
Big people eat
Things
little
about
people.
to things is about to jump off. It's the final season. They might split it into 3 parts. That means it'll probably go all year. You may get 3 seasons. Might get this winter, next summer, and next fall of Attack on Titan, which will be great. Uh, Also, Super Nintendo Land and Universal Studios Japan is jumping off February 4th, 2021. So, um, this, if Japan don't need a vaccine from me, then I'm not taking a vaccine to Japan. That's all I got to say about that. But It looks great. They got a Mario Kart ride. I mean, you could already take go karts and ride them, drive them through Japan dressed up as a Mario character. So that's legit. That's lit already.
Yeah, you just gotta
Uh,
be careful because the Nintendo police might try and give you a fine. That's a different story. Like you infringing on our copyrights. I'm sorry, you gonna have to pull over. Like what? Get off my face.
oh yeah, Nintendo. They have been uh, chopping people down uh, on copyright infringement this year, but that's because they was in a pandemic. They had nothing else to do.
For real, they just man, come on, y'all can't make like Mario Lost Levels like 32 or something. Come on, like what y'all doing, man? Eden, Mikasa. But I'm just
They
saying,
they
it's a
were
lot
shutting
going
down
on.
TikTok characters. They were shutting down TikTok characters for having names similar to theirs, to some of their characters. You know, using Pokemon names or things like that.
I mean,
People
come on,
selling
how many?
people selling merchandise. A few shirts here, a few shirts there.
I
It's
mean, look,
basically how you come up with ideas. Basically how
Pokemon.
how you steal ideas, right? You go around and search for all your product, search for all your trademark, all your copyrighted stuff. You search for it on the internet, see who's using it, and say, "Oh, we haven't done that yet. Let's make sure we get all the money that they made off of that, and then let's repackage it and sell it ourselves."
Look, okay, look, like there is so much when it comes to intellectual property. Like me being an intellectual, we are all intellectual property holders. Some just put a little bit more certification on it and get a little bit more initials. It's the same thing as going to school, right? I went to school, paid for it, got my education. Now I got these initials on the back of my name. When it comes to intellectual property, everyone has copyrights. Some people are a little bit more protective than others. The thing is, with Nintendo and what I've seen, there was a situation where I seen recently they were going to have a tournament for Smash, and there was a technique that was going to be used, and because of that one technique, they were like, "You can't do it. You can't have it." And it's like, wait a minute, let me get this straight. You have a devout and devoted community that is so like supportive of you financially, and yet you won't create a space to let them kind of
Nah, son.
explore their joy, right?
Nah, son.
And so it's like to me, it's one of those things where this is okay. Like let me be 100, right? Like I started off Nintendo, but as much as I have love and appreciation for them, I they are like they're not on the highest order, right? If I had to like do I support them in some way? Yeah, of course, right? But for me, given the nature of how they operate and just given the stigma and the monolithicness of it all. It's like, yeah, y'all make it difficult to love y'all. Y'all make it real difficult because again, y'all the last company that solely is focused on video games, right? Y'all the last company that is solely focused. You make your own consoles, you make your own games, and that is your bread and butter, right? Sony, they make TVs, they make electronics in general. Microsoft, they make software, they make hardware now. But when it comes to Nintendo, right, y'all the last, y'all based out of Japan too, and y'all have this long history. You saved the video game industry, right? And then you were able to save
Yeah.
yourself multiple times. And now you want to tell people how they can enjoy your products and share that joy. Y'all tripping. Y'all tripping, right? Like, in what world? What in the world? Like, talk about giants
I'm
eating
done.
little people.
I'm done.
Nintendo. Nintendo's a titan. Nintendo straight eating like, oh, you have a
Well,
profitable business on
hold it.
YouTube. I'm gonna bite your head off. And now I have
And
consumed you, and you are part of me, right?
and that's the beauty of Attack on Titan, because that's exactly what it's talking about.
Now you are
Is
part of me.
the way businesses gouge at the lives of the general population.
Yeah, people be repping for the brand. This giant represents me and my people. This giant represents me and my people. Well, guess what? We gotta have these giants fight now. Okay, well, I'm just gonna run around, not get eaten. Oh, I got eaten. Oh, there you go. My head popped off.
And
Squirt
and
some blood.
that's the stock market.
It's a game. It's get to know it, man. Look, I seen Warren Buffett say, if you want to make money in the society that we live in, there's two main ways: make something people can buy, or provide them something they could pay you for, right? So in that case, what did Warren do? He learned how to make money off of all that, right? Found a third way. Find another way, right? And it's not to say that it's impossible. It's just to say that, people didn't really care about Warren until he started was getting up there in age. It was a journey, it was a process. He just stayed committed. And now we all, to some degree, a lot of us know his name for financial gain, right? And so I think that that's something to highlight because, yeah, it's easy to get taken over and get your head bitten off. But at the same time, you can be mindful of the process and you could be a General Levi and refine your technique and never get caught slipping, no matter who's around, no matter how big you are. Okay. All it takes is a little smoke.
Kenny.
I'm just saying, a little smoke, just a little, other people going to have some sacrifice. But when you know what you giving your all for, and it's General Levi who's gonna
Woo.
come through, you better look over there to your right, cause he coming. What happened to my people?
Oh
They
man.
this is an equivalent exchange, right? If you want to gain, you have to give, right? And that's life. Like, you live in a society, in a world, everything comes at a price, no matter how free you think it is, right? It is a price you will pay. It ain't gotta be money. It could be your energy, your emotions, your well being, your mental health, your physical health. But there's a pay. We all have, there's a pay. That's just it, right? And so, again, equivalent exchange, right? I'm going to give to receive, right? And in this instance, if you ain't looking to the right, well, night night.
Night night.
For real. Just take you out, bro. Like, what you thought, bro? You gonna what? You gonna protect the back of your neck? Ah, oh, nah, bro. We General Levi. We get you at the ankles. Okay, we can. It's all connected. It's all intertwined, right? Take care of your whole self. Okay.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, I mean, it's these things. That's like I said. When that comes around, that's gonna be what I circulate around Luffy and them to give me some sense of wellness and some sense of joy through the processes of me dealing with the day to day. Because
Cause yeah,
that energy, like, let me just say, while
yeah,
we get to
that's
the
not
to
it's
the
not for the faint of heart.
we get into the downward slope, but I'm just telling people, we've converted people, right? Like, you gotta remember, like, us people who were raised into this life, right? This is a life, right, where it is a doctrine, if you will, right? It's a system of storytelling, of deep character, world building, relationship building. There's goals, ambitions. There's all this multitude of complexity that you can become just immersed in, right? You think of Shakespeare and you think of, the great storytellers of our lifetime. And in this modern era that we live in, when you look at something like Attack on Titan and you realize the metaphors that are being represented in society and historically, geographically, the the different conversations that we all come across in our day to day when it comes to political or religious or when it comes to individual disciplines and doctrines. This show just does it with giants and people that can swing around like with swords and got gas powered mechanisms, and it
It's
just looks
like
super cool.
you what you want to talk about. You want to talk about Africa. You want to talk about Asia. You want to talk about the stock market. You want to talk about capitalism. You want to talk about the slave trade. You want to talk about Cold War, Watergate,
World
like
War.
War War.
You want to talk about racism?
Like you want to talk about man,
You want to talk about
deep heavy
industrialism?
racism. You want to talk about tribalism,
My goodness, right? You want to talk about like social class economics?
classism.
You want to talk
What?
about the media? Like, you
Talk
name
about
it got
religion.
it. You name it got it, right? You want to talk about history and family lineage and legacy? Like, what you want to do, right? It
You
got it.
talk about intelligent design.
what you what you want to do? You want to talk about You want to talk about the medical field and like healthcare?
Oh man,
You want to talk
healthcare
about
is cold.
loss?
You want to talk about military?
Talk about
You want to talk about what?
perseverance?
You want to talk about the family you choose?
Mikasa. I'm just gonna say.
I think we gotta wrap it up.
So this has been episode 27 of the Lyrical Ones podcast, brought to you by Attack on Titan and the good folks at Rockefeller Records. We appreciate y'all. Be well, get rest, take care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's the rock. But it's one of those things where I hope that everybody's able to receive something from this. And find your peace, find your joy, love yourself, take care of yourself. And Alfluent, any final words?
Be well and be well to your people.
And on that note, as we I just be trying to dance like a Muppet.
One, 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 one.